episode 5, Finger Patrol. And when I saw the episode was called Finger Patrol, considering that last week's episode was called Sex Patrol, I thought this episode was going in a completely different direction, and I was wrong. But this episode had 3 different storylines with every member of the cast, and every storyline ended horribly wrong. So, oh boy. So I'm gonna break this up. I'm gonna talk about all three situations separately. So first, we'll start with Cyborg and I forgot the girl name. I was about to call her Ray. All right. So basically, Cyborg and Cliff. We'll start with the two of them. Cyborg's having dreams, like he's having like daydreams, like I don't want to say nightmares, but he's thinking about the girl. He's thinking about the girl, like he misses her, like he wants to be with her, but he doesn't know what he should do. So he's freaking out. He talks to Cliff a little bit, but he doesn't get like a solid resolution, and he's still like juggling the whole thing around in his head. Cliff, he goes like he's walking around trying to find the videotape where the chief confesses to all the horrible things that he done. Why he wanted the tape, I don't know. So then he bumps into the chief, and then the chief basically still trying to make amends for the whole situation. He tells Cliff that, listen, he's like, I'm trying to come up with a way to give your sense of taste and touch back or whatever. And he said that, he can come up with technology where Cliff can feel again. And then Cliff was just like, he was just like, don't give me hope, bro, because he's like, I would give anything to be able to to feel stuff again, be able to feel the rain, to be able to touch people, this, that, and the third. But the chief was just like, it's going to take some time. But then Cliff was like, but you're dying, bro, so you don't really have a lot of time. And he was just like, just be patient, Cliff, and I'll see what I can do. So, so now Cliff ends up, he's just like, all right, well, shit. He's like, if me getting a sense of like touch is possible, I need a plan B in case the chief ends up passing away before he gets a chance to help me. So then he looks at Cyborg and he's just like, bro, like you're made out of metal. He's like, how are you able to feel, and touch and this, that, and the third? And he was just like, well, my dad, he's like, some technology that my dad created, like the cyber optics or whatever, like it allows me to maintain a sense of, like a physical sense of a touch. So then he's just like, well, shit. He's like, screw the chief. I'm just gonna have your dad do it. So, so Cliff and Cyborg, they go talk to Cyborg's dad. He's just like Cyborg's dad, and that was messed up by Cyborg's dad because his dad basically, like Silas Stone, he basically said he could do it, but he's not going to because he said that what he did for Victor when he turned Victor into Cyborg, he said that was surgery. He said what Niles did to you was basically mutilation. He's like, he cut you apart, and it was criminal what Niles did to you. And he said that if I help Niles, he's like, even if we try to like enhance you and try to give you like your senses back in the second and third, he said that anything I do will make me an accessory to Niles' crimes, which is basically like scientific nerd talk for saying, fuck Niles Coulter, I'm not helping him, I'm sorry, but he can kiss my ass. So so Silas Stone leaves. Cliff's upset because he's just like, he was like, first of all, that's messed up that your dad wouldn't help me. And he's like, second of all, he's like, your dad hates the chief so much. He makes me and the chief look like best friends, so now like Cliff is just like, all right. He's like, I gotta wait for the chief. He's like, but this sucks. So the two of them are sitting in a car, and Cyborg's just sitting parked, staring off into space. So Cliff was just like, all right, why are we here? Why'd you bring us here? And then Cyborg told him, he was like, I used to patrol this neighborhood back in the day. So then Cliff was just like, oh, so because I'm angry and I have all this frustration and I have like these there's this robot strength, and because you're a cyborg, you want us to come out here and fight crime together and be a team. And then he's just like, like our team name could be Steel and Stone, getting it done. So he thought, so now Cliff is in the mindset of like, hey, I could be a superhero and I could fight crime. And the Cyborg was like, bro, like I ain't bring you here to fight no damn crime. He's like, I brought you here. He's like, the only reason why we're here is because the girl he's like, there's a girl that I like, we got into it. He was like, like I messed up, and he's like, I regret what I did. So Cliff was just like, well, he was like, I have a lot of experience with messing up with the ladies and getting them back. So he was just like, be like, listen, I'm stupid, I fucked up, and I'm sorry. Now I object to that only because I still feel Cyborg was justified for walking out of the diner, because it's not like the girl came into the diner, showed Cyborg photographs of what she used to do back in the military. And then he saw that, didn't like what he saw, and then he got mad. He got up and left her at the diner. He was at the diner waiting for her to show up. She never came. Like she drove to the diner, parked outside, and she never came inside. So in my mind, if I'm Cyborg, I'm just like, I don't give a damn what your past is. I don't care what you did in the military. I don't care what all that. I don't care what all that foolishness is. I'm mad because you ghosted me at the diner. Like you could have at least told me this to my face. So the fact that Cyborg's going around talking about how he's the one that messed up, I was just like, I'm not feeling that one, because he didn't do anything wrong. So anyway, but he takes Cliff's advice. He goes upstairs. He sees the girl. He's just like, yo, I fucked up. He's like, it's like, I'm sorry. She ends up forgiving him. She brings him into the house, and then the two of them end up getting it on. So after they're done getting it on, they're having a conversation, and then she started to confide in him and started telling him, because he asked about the scars on her body, and then she said she got some of them in the military, but then she said that after the military, because of her disciplinary like issues, she got a choice to either get kicked out of the military or to do like special covert government projects. So she chose to do the government projects, and the government gave her enhancements to her body. I don't know if it was like injections, if it was metal enhancements, like robotic prosthetics or whatever, but they basically gave her enhancements, so she was an enhanced individual at one point. The problem is, like she said, because she OD'd a little bit and she enjoyed her work too much, she was like, because she's like, when she made too many mistakes to the point where they couldn't look the other way because of the mistakes that she was making, they took their enhancements back. And because whatever they put in her, they removed it. Removing the enhancements is probably what caused the rest of the scars. Because that big scar that she got going from one shoulder to another, it was probably like some metal plated computerized. She probably had like a chest gun or something, and they took their enhancements back, which is why she has the scarring. And then Cyborg was just like, but you're not a monster. And, he's like, you got to see the good, blah, blah, blah. And the two of them, basically like and that's how the whole thing with the two of them, it basically like left, with the two of them doing that. I said, just like having that conversation. Cliff was outside daydreaming about the adventures of Steel and Stone, and while he was out there daydreaming, somebody was breaking into a car trying to steal a car. So Cliff was like, hey, here's my chance to be a superhero. So he goes out, he tries to stop the crime, and in the midst of him trying to stop those two guys from stealing that car, he broke one. First of all, he punched one guy in the chest and knocked him like 80 feet back. The boy probably got a hole in his chest, and then the other guy, he accidentally broke his finger off, and then the guy ran away with his missing finger, and then Cliff took the guy's Cliff picked up the finger and he dropped it into his pants. I don't know why he did that. They never said why he did that, and Cliff is basically freaking out now because he just ripped some guy's finger off. So I mean, the thing with Cyborg and the girl, the people who gave her the enhancements are obviously going to come back into play at some point, and she's going to have to deal with the government or whatever. As far as Cliff is concerned, I don't know what Cliff doing, and we'll find out what's going on with Cliff next week. Rita ended up tracking down this woman that worked at a supermarket to audition for a play, because apparently this woman, she is doing a hometown play. She's the writer and the director of the play. So Rita went down there to audition because now that she's having like the visions and the flashbacks of like the trauma that she endured with her mom, she realized that a lot of her early on success, maybe even her future success, was based on her mom basically sleeping with people. And now she's questioning whether or not she's able to get a role on her own, or if she needed her mom's help to land all the roles that she landed. So she went to try out for this play to see if she can do something on her own. So the woman had her audition in the middle of the supermarket, and Rita started off very good, but then while she was doing the monologue, she ended up having like flashbacks of her mom, like sleeping with producers, and then it kind of like messed up. She messed up the monologue, and then the woman told her, she was just like, kick rocks. We're good. We don't need you. So she goes back to the mansion, and she's upset because she blew the audition. And Larry's there, and then she asked Larry, she's like, what's going on with you, Larry? And then he was just like, well, he's like, my son called. He's like, my son called to tell me that they were like, because remember, like his other son had passed away in the previous episode, and they're going to clear out his house. They're going to get rid of all his belongings. They asked Larry if he, since that's his dad, they asked Larry if he can come to the house to help them take care of his son's belongings. So Larry decides he's going to do it. but he was just like, it's gonna be very awkward and very weird for me. And then Rita was like, well, it can't be any worse than the day that I had. And then Larry was like, yo, why don't you just come with me? So they go to the house, they meet everybody. His son actually embraced him. Like Larry got to meet his grandson and his great grandson. His actual son ended up giving him a hug. He legitimately like embraced him. And I thought that was kind of cool because, Larry's been through a lot of shit. A lot of it he caused himself, but to see his family embrace him like that, I thought was a really nice thing. So the two of them, like they were helping, they were going through the clothes, going through the stuff. While they were going through the clothes, Rita's basically like talking everyone's ear off about how she blew the audition. And then the woman who's doing the play ended up calling Rita. I don't know how she got Rita's number. She called Rita and she told Rita that basically like half of the cast of the play went on a vacation and they came back with mono. So now they actually do need people. So they asked Rita to be a part of the play. So now Rita's far is happy because she gets to be in the play and make her dramatic comeback. Larry went to go talk to his son. They were in the barn talking to the son, and Larry ended up confessing to his son. He was just like, like, I'm gay, and your mother knew I was gay, but she never outed me. And he said, I never had the courage to tell her. And he's like, and I wish I would have told her because at least then I would have given her an out and she could have made the choice to move on and actually have a real life instead of, having to, instead of having to like deal with, him and his secrets. So then the son was he was in shock, but then he was just like, all right, well, he was like, well, I got a secret too. Because he said that, when mom came to live with us, she was basically going on saying that you weren't dead, you weren't like, you were alive, you were still alive. He was like, my brother, the son that died, he's like, mom pumped his head full of those conspiracy theories, and then he didn't give up on you either. And he was just like, mom was obsessed with trying to find you, like my brother was obsessed with trying to find you, and I was the one who had to take care of both of them. And he was like, it wasn't until I saw you at the funeral was when I realized how much resentment I really had over that whole situation, because he said, he was like, I even went into the military to try to take after my hero father, and then come to find out like you're still alive and everything. And he was just like, yo, fuck you. Like he actually, like, he was really, he was bitter. He was very bitter. He was really upset. And he was so upset to the point where he was just like, Larry Trainer ruins everything and you're a cancer on this family. He said, he was like, I looked into the military records and I found out what you've been doing and where you've been all this time. And he called the military to come pick him up and take him back to the lab to do the experiments on him. So, Larry was cornered. Like, the military came out of nowhere. They had the guns and everything on him. Rita was just like, oh dear my, and then, like I said, his son basically, he betrayed him. His son set him up. His son set him up and betrayed him. And then Larry released the negative spirit. So, the negative spirit was finally in the budget. The negative spirit went and was fighting off the military. And then, as always, military people shoot first and ask questions later, I guess, based on how this was. They basically just went firing on the entire house and on the entire property. Rita used her stretchy rubber ability to shield the great-grandson, but Larry's grandson, the adult, he got hit with the bullets and he was down and he was bleeding profusely. And then Larry's son has the nerve, because that's his son that's bleeding on the floor. He runs over to his son. He was just like, oh my God, are you okay? And then he turns to Larry and goes, you're a curse on this family. And I was like, you're the one that called the military. Like, Larry isn't the reason why your son is on the floor bleeding out. That was your fault. And it's sad because Larry's going to get blamed for that. And, and then, Larry fell for it for a second. He was just like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And then Rita was just like, Larry, we have to go. And then the negative spirit basically, first of all, I didn't realize that, because I know he did it like once or twice last season, but I didn't know that Larry mastered the art of still being conscious and being able to stand on his own 2 feet when the negative energy is out doing whatever it does. Because the way it was in the comic and in the cartoon or whatever, when the negative spirit came out, Larry hit the floor. So, but apparently Larry's able to, like, I don't know how long he can hold out, but he's able to, like, this withstand it. So basically, the negative energy, the negative spirit grabbed Larry, grabbed Rita, and bounced. And I'm just like, when were you able to carry 2 people? So the negative spirit is flying off with Rita and Larry now. I guess they're going back to Niles' house. And, Larry's family is completely in shambles. But again, it's not Larry's fault. And I really hope Larry doesn't kick himself over this for the remainder of the season, because, and to be honest, I also hope that in later episodes, I hope that Larry goes to the hospital to visit his grandson, to talk to his grandson about the whole situation and to see that he's okay. But what his actual son did was fucked up and it's actually his fault. And finally, I was about to call her Dorothy. Jane was talking to the chief, and they were having like a one-on-one private session. And then the chief was just like, "I'm glad you're back, Jane, to how things we can get back to how things used to be." And then she's like, "They'll never be how they used to be, you old son of a bitch." But Jane was basically just like, she was like, "Look." She was, she felt bad because she's like, "Look, like I messed up." She said, "Out of all 64 people in the underground, I'm the only person who's able to be the primary and exist in the real world." Because she was like, everybody else down there, they got one job to do, and all they know how to do is the one thing. They don't know how to actually be in society. And she was just like, she was like, "I fucked that up." She was like, like I was the primary, and because of the drugs and because of the pain and everything I was running from, she was like, "I kind of fucked it up. Now everybody in the underground hates me." So Niles was just like, "All right, well, let's start over. Let's do a complete overhaul of the underground." He was like, "I'll do counseling sessions and I'll talk to each individual person, and we can kind of, like work on like rebuilding this whole thing." So the first person was Baby Doll. He ended up having a conversation with Baby Doll, and Baby Doll was just like, "They told us that you were a monster and that you're evil." And he was just like, "Yes, Baby Doll, I am a monster, but I'm sorry." And then he got an idea because he was just like, Baby Doll's basically a child. And he was like, "I got a child upstairs." So he takes Baby Doll and he brings Baby Doll upstairs to go play with Dorothy. So, and Dorothy was happy because she was nice. It was nice to have another child like her own age. So Baby Doll and Dorothy, they immediately hit it off. Dorothy showed Baby Doll her stuffed animal collection, and I'm just like, her stuffed animal collection is basically all the manifestations that she creates. So is she turning stuffed animals into actual live creations, or does she just happen to have, because she had those stuffed animals, she was able to conjure like living versions of those stuffed animals? So, but that was very unclear to me. But anyway, so she showed them the stuffed animals. Two of them are playing. They're playing hide and go seek. They're putting stickers on Cyborg and Cliff's ass. Like they're having tea parties and all this other stuff. So then, Baby Doll is such a child. She makes Dorothy look like an adult. Like compared to Baby Doll, like Dorothy is like Mrs. America GI Joe. And I was just like, my God, when Baby Doll and Dorothy were in the same room having a conversation at the same time, I was just like, is it just me, or does Dorothy seem like an adult? Does she seem more grown? Does she seem like more mature? And one of her manifestations, like the evil one that keeps telling her to make a wish, child, he even said to her, he was just like, "These are little," because like when the two of them were playing, he was like, "These are little girl games for little girls." And then he was, and then she was just like, "But I'm a child." She's like, "I'm not an adult." And he was just like, "You're older than this. You're too mature for this." And then he was like, "I can sense like your disdain for these childish games." And then it dawned on me, when the manifestation keeps telling her, "Make a wish, make a wish, make a wish," he wants Dorothy to wish herself to be an adult. And for some reason, Niles doesn't want her to grow up and be an adult. And I don't know why. So Dorothy being an adult will have some scary ramifications on the planet, and that's something we're going to have to find out later on. But his whole goal, like this manifestation that keeps talking to her, his goal is to make Dorothy wish she was grown. So keep an eye out for that. That's a prediction for later on in the season. So then Dorothy starts telling Baby Doll about like her manifestations, and she makes one appear. Dorothy got Dorothy she made like the wolf thing, the wolf antler thing appear. Jane Baby Doll got a little too aggressive with it, and the wolf thing disappeared. Dorothy got mad because she was like, "You're too rough with my friends," and then she ran away. She wasn't talking to Baby Doll. She didn't want to have a conversation with Baby Doll. She was done with Baby Doll. Jane took back over. Jane and Niles were having a conversation. They were making sandwiches together. Dorothy showed up, and then he was just like, "Oh, I'll make you a sandwich, dear." And then she was like, "What type of sandwich, Daddy?" He was like, "The sandwich I'll make is Jane's favorite sandwich. It could be your favorite sandwich as well." And then when she said that, Baby Doll came back, and then she was kind of like, "Fuck this bitch," trying to take over my whole situation. So Baby Doll goes into Dorothy's room, and then Dorothy was like, "I think I'm too old for your games, Baby Doll." And then she was just like, "But you're not too old to play." And then Dorothy at that point, then Dorothy got like well, not Dorothy. Baby doll got mad at that point, and then she was just like, "That's why you're." She's like, "That's why your dad's an evil person." And she's like, "No, he's not evil." She's like, "Of course he's evil. Everybody hates him. He did bad things, and he's a bad person." She's like, "He's not a bad person." And then Dorothy was like, "How about we play tag, bitch?" And then two of them started playing tag. Dorothy she was hiding downstairs. Then Baby doll went downstairs to try to find her. Dorothy came out of the shadows and was like, "Boo, bitch!" And then she scared Baby doll. Baby doll got mad. Apparently, Baby doll has the power of levitation, and she took Baby doll took Dorothy and levitated her and put her into the furnace. And then Dorothy was just like, "Oh, if you don't get me out of the furnace, I'm going to tell." And then she was just like, "No, because I'm going to turn the fire on, and I'm going to burn your ass, so this way you can't tell on me." And now we're having a child fight. we're having a child fight with magic powers. So then, Baby doll ends up turning on the furnace. Dorothy got scared and she sent out her wolf antler creature to protect her. Then Jane, all right, so Dorothy made the wolf come out, and then Baby doll switched herself out for the pyro personality, like the flying like pyro fire personality. The fire personality, she's like the badass of the underground, and she protects everyone at all costs. So the fire personality shows up and killed Dorothy's wolf friend. And like the evil manifestation even said, "Our friend is dead." Baby doll killed our friend. Make the wish, child. So now Dorothy's all upset because she's like, Baby doll killed one of her friends, one of her best friends, and especially like the wolf, because the wolf was her very first friend, and now he gone. So then, so now he was just like, they've hurt us, they've killed our friend. Make the wish, child. And then she made the wish, and then that manifestation, which I assume the one that's talking to her, because Dorothy can create this gigantic fire demon. I'm assuming the fire demon is the person who keeps telling her to make the wishes. So the fire demon shows up, and then he runs up on, and then like the fire demon shows up, and then like he runs up on Baby doll. Now we're in the underground. So the underground person, the personality that's in charge of driving the train, taking the other 64 people from one place to the other, she's on the train doing her thing, and then the fire manifestation shows up, fucks up the train. And then all the personalities are sitting in this room. Baby doll comes running in the room, and then she's just like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do it." And Jane's down there, everybody down there, like, didn't mean to do what? And then all of a sudden the fire manifestation shows up, and everybody's like, what the F? And then the pyro personality shows up, gets into a fight with the manifestation. Dorothy's fire manifestation beat Jane's pyro person. Then the other members of the underground, they're all scared now. Baby doll hides behind Jane, and then the manifestation grabs Baby doll and killed Baby doll. So it was basically like an eye for an eye. He was like, "You killed my wolf, I'm killing your Baby doll." So Baby doll dead, and Jane now has 63 personalities, and Dorothy now only has 2 friends. But the problem is the fire manifestation's still there, and there's now an assault on the underground. So you better hide your kids, hide your wife, because Dorothy's manifestation is coming for that ass. And that's how the episode ended. The episode ended with Dorothy's fire manifestation attacking the underground. So, and I am very interested in how that's going to play out, because I didn't even know Dorothy could get into the underground. So the fact that Dorothy's powers are so strong, she can put herself in the underground. Jane better tell them other 63 girls to watch their ass. So, and so that's how it ends. So it ends with Dorothy going ham, Jane's whole underground being under attack, and watch the other girls blame Jane for this when it was Baby doll's fault. Larry was betrayed by his family. I guess Rita, Rita was with him when it happened, but her storyline turned out okay because she got the role until she blows that as well. Cyborg, got laid once again, and I think, like he's trying to work things out with Homegirl, and Cliff just possibly murdered somebody, decapitated someone's finger, and he's trying to figure out how he can get his sense of touch back. So So that was it. Let me know. Let me know in the comments what you think's gonna happen with each individual character and where all these storylines are gonna play out. Click the little bell on the notification thing so you can get notified whenever I put up new videos. Because I got Stargirl coming up next, along with Agents of Shield. Leave a like. Definitely subscribe. So, tell your friends, and let's put some stuff in the comment section. Like I said, let's try to get a conversation going. We'll see what happens. So again, that was episode 5 for Doom Patrol. We will be back for episode 6. This is getting very good, and I'm glad I'm here for it. So until next time for Doom Patrol episode 5, take care, and I'm out this bitch.